This video describes an initiative to improve employability among young people living in rural towns and villages in South Africa. The aim is to establish small computer centers run by local entrepreneurs who will be able to earn a living while providing computer training to their peers, which will enable them to gain access to work opportunities. South Africa faces a crisis in the form of a large number of unemployed young people, the majority of whom do not have skills to offer the marketplace. We'll be focusing in on the 7 million young people living in rural areas, 4 million of whom are not in employment, education, or training, the brown segment on the chart. None of the options available to these young people are promising. They could join the stream of rural people migrating to the cities. If they choose to remain, they'll be subsisting on another family's social grant, finding some way to make a meager living, or turning to a life of crime. What we have found is a prevailing mindset of failure, disappointment, and disempowerment. Some even say they've failed so often they're afraid to fail again. In fact, they will make life choices based not on an interest or passion, but on the least likelihood of failure. But it is here, where poverty is greatest and resources most limited, that we've chosen to base this intervention. We believe that if it can show positive results in this environment, it will open up the way for a much wider implementation in the future. So, with that background in mind, what if we could take a comprehensive technology-based digital skills program, introduce it into rural towns and villages through engaging young local entrepreneurs, and help them to run a business through providing computer skills to other young people? What if the design and execution of the program could not only equip them with useful skills, but in the process build their self-belief and a confidence to compete in the marketplace? What if we could find a way to connect them to employment opportunities, which might even grow into a meaningful career? Imagine if they could become included in the digital economy instead of excluded. From our experience so far, we can say that such a model, in order to operate at scale in a climate of extreme poverty, needs a funding model that would stimulate engagement while avoiding the demotivating effects of grant aid. The training content covers all the computer applications used in the average workplace, including an introduction to IT, which equips users with the language which underpins all things to do with computers. The course duration is about 3 months at 4 hours per day for students who start with no prior knowledge of computers at all. Students who have some exposure already generally move through quicker. The aggregate results for the over 3,000 students who've been through this program are impressive. Their average score over the 140 assessments that each student has completed is 89%. Just as remarkable is the completion rate of 99%, which means that by far the majority of students who start this program complete it. SAQA credits. Even though the students may be learning in a remote village, the nature and quality of the training is such they cover all the requirements to gain credits on the national qualification system. In fact, Skillwise has been approved to produce electronic portfolios of evidence, and our simulation-based assessments have been accepted as valid for testing competency and hence being used in the summative assessments. This has reduced the time and resource requirements for gaining credits and puts young people on an equal footing with their urban counterparts. Warning, this program is addictive. This is how the program was described by a new center owner. It quotes, "The right word to describe the CompuTutor program is addictive. All the 8 learners are addicted. It's hard to get them to shut down after their 2 hours has expired. They all push to finish the levels and to push them up further. The program is very user-friendly, and all the learners after their first session could all navigate themselves through the software without any assistance. The 2 introduction sessions were very helpful in getting learners to familiarize themselves with the program." We turn now to verification of impact and the sponsorship model that arises from it. The infrastructure and training methodology lends itself to real-time verification of impact. This opens up the possibility of a more dynamic model for sponsorship. Let us imagine that a sponsor contributes to the training of 1 or more students. The funds are paid into the account of the Skillwise Foundation, which has a list of unemployed young people who are keen to do the training. The foundation matches individual students with their profiles to the sponsor, and the center owner is notified of the availability of the sponsorship. The students pay a small fee for registration, which gives them access to the first of 6 modules. The student has to earn the right to continue the training through their own effort. The first task is to achieve an average of 80% for the assessments which they will encounter in this first module. When they reach this target, a proportion of the total funding for the student is released from the foundation to the account of the centre owner. A message is sent to the sponsor informing them of the progress each student has made. The student is given access to the second module, and the process is repeated for each subsequent module until the final certification stage. So the student pays for the training through their effort, for continued access to the space, infrastructure, electricity, etc., which the centre owner provides. The entrepreneur is able to benefit from increased student numbers as a result of being able to offer a subsidized rate. The sponsor benefits from real-time updates on students' progress and the opportunity to encourage this student on his or her journey. So what is needed to expand this model, to bring it up to the scale where 3,000 students could become 30,000 or even 300,000? There are a number of avenues through which individuals or corporate sponsors could be involved in expanding the benefit. Corporate social investment or individual or group donor funds could be used to sponsor students using the model described in the previous slide. Enterprise development funds could be provided to select, equip, and mentor new entrepreneurs to run their own rural training centers. Skills development funds could be used to prepare entrepreneurs more formally through learnerships, providing greater depth of experience in the computer technology aspect, as well as training in setting up a new venture. These centers could form the basis for a more broadly based economic development intervention in under-resourced areas. For further information, please contact us on info@skillwise.co.za.